Good morning everybody, and welcome back to a brand new video. Now today we're going to be trying out the new boss Tempoross. I've been really excited for this for a couple months now, and it's a really good excuse to actually go ahead and train some fishing. Now my fishing level right now is level 83, and I have already tested it out a little bit already. So this video is just going to be detailing my day one experience of the content, a bit of a guide on how to do it, because in the end it is very simple. We're going to look at the experience per hour I'm going to get, and if that will actually compare with the rates that Jagex has put forward, as well as we'll have a look at what some of the potential loot is and see if we can get lucky with a dragon harpoon or something like that. Okay, so first up here, getting to Tempoross is very simple. It's a little bit south of Al-Kharid, and you can get here either with a dueling ring, a amulet of glory to the palace is very close. Now Tempoross has a minimum fishing requirement of level 35 and will scale up all the way to 99. Now the experience rates that Jagex has proposed are around 30k per hour at level 35, scaling all the way up to 80k per hour at level 99. So we're level 83, so we should expect to get somewhere around 70k per hour, maybe up to 75k. We'll have to see though. Now as for equipment, the ideal thing you would be wearing is the angler outfit. I don't actually have that, so we're going to be wearing graceful instead. Now the only other really important slot here is the harpoon slot. Now there are 3 viable options for mid to high level fishing. Of course, if you're lower level, you just have to use a regular harpoon, but once you have access to the dragon harpoon, there are a couple of different options. You can go with the regular dragon harpoon, which will do just fine. However, the infernal harpoon is actually really good here. What the infernal harpoon will do is it will cook some of the fish automatically, which while that will not increase your XP per hour at Tempoross, it will increase your points per hour. So if you're looking to go for rewards, the infernal harpoon is by far the best option for that. Now if you just want to go straight experience, the dragon harpoon is fine, but if you want to go for the highest experience possible, you want to go with a crystal harpoon with an elven signet in the ring slot. The explorer ring is nice, but it doesn't really do that much, just for show kind of. Now for my inventory, I have been bringing 2 admiral pies, 2 buckets of water, and a rope. Now one thing I forgot to mention here is you should bring a hammer. It is optional, but you do need it to repair the masts and just other parts of the ship. Now you can get the buckets and the rope in the encounter, but I just like bringing them in anyway. So anyway, with that out of the way, let's turn our entity hider off and get into the encounter. So what you need to do is go ahead and board the boat. There's just a bit of a ladder right here. The games will start very frequently, usually within just a couple of seconds. There we go, already started. Now if your camera is facing north, you want to immediately run down here to the southwest and go start fishing the first fishing spot you see. Now pretty much the idea of this is to fish up an entire inventory of harpoon fish and then load them into the cannon. Now you can see here my infernal harpoon is already cooking some of them. Normally you'd have to go cook them on the range, but that actually wastes a lot of time, so I wouldn't actually recommend doing that unless you are purely going for points, and even then, the infernal harpoon is a pretty good compromise. Now of course the fishing spots do move pretty often, so you kind of have to move around with them. The encounter is pretty simple, but there are some mechanics you need to watch out for, or you do have a chance of losing your fish, which does kind of suck. Now whenever this wave attack happens, you need to click on the pillar in the middle here, otherwise you will lose some of your fish potentially, or lose your buckets and your rope, which is also pretty annoying. We have a full inventory though, so we're going to run up here and click on this munition crate here to fill them up with the swordfish. Now one thing you have to keep in mind about this encounter is the majority of the experience you get is from filling the ammunition crate, and also when you are actually damaging Tempoross in a minute we'll show you. That is where you're going to get the majority of your experience, so if you're missing out on that, your XP per hour will be affected quite a lot. Now one thing you can do is put out the fires with your buckets. Generally I only do that when they're actually in my way, but it is kind of nice, so you don't want your boat to catch on fire. So we're going to run back down here for another full inventory. Now ideally what I've been trying to do is you want to at least get 2 full inventories loaded into the cannon, and normally that is usually possible. Now Tempoross is usually divided into 2 phases. We have the phase where we load the fish up in the cannon, shoot Tempoross, and that will slowly lower the energy. The second phase actually involves damaging Tempoross itself, and to do that we're going to come over to this little spirit pool here and we're going to jab it with a harpoon. I know, very barbaric. Now normally you get 2 chances to fill up the cannon and 2 chances to damage Tempoross, and that should well give you enough time to usually shoot 2 inventories. Now as soon as Tempoross loses its shield, you want to come over here immediately to start damaging it, because you also get a ton of experience for doing this. If you're kind of messing around doing something else, you actually lose out on quite a lot of experience. Now at this point in particular, I would recommend to make sure you are boosted to some amount, either with a Dragon Harpoon special attack or your Admiral Pie. So pretty much just keep jabbing Tempoross until the energy is fully restored. At that point, go and unleash your second inventory of swordfish. We're missing one, but you know what, it's close enough. Really watch out for these clouds, because if a cloud hits you, you lose like half your inventory of fish or something. It's really annoying. That will impact your XP per hour more than anything else. Now, usually I have found you can get a little bit more than 2 inventories in if you are quick enough, but you can't do a full 3rd inventory. We're gonna make sure we tether to the mast again. So we've done pretty much 2 full inventories, and there's still 63% of the shield left. So in my opinion, it's best to go back, fish maybe 5 to 10 more fish, really depending on how the encounter is going. Run back there and load those in there, and then just get prepared for the final phase. Okay, so that's looking a little scary. We're gonna run away from that one. Really don't bother dousing these unless they are like absolutely directly in your way. So we have around a half inventory of fish, and there's around 35% left on Tempoross' shield. So we're gonna run through here and load these in here before the shield is totally gone, because again, you get the majority of your experience actually from loading the fish. Also, one thing to note is you can actually time the tether very late if you have to. This will actually save you a fair bit of wasted time from being tethered where you're not getting any experience. So the better you time it, the more experience per hour you're gonna get. So we're gonna come down here for another bit of jabbing, and that is gonna be it for the encounter. Right now we're hovering at around 76k per hour, which seems about right. And there we go, the encounter is done. We ended up getting 3 reward points, bringing us up to 12. And you talk to First Man Pete, and then we just go ahead and leave. Alright, so I ended up doing it for around 1 hour. We were getting around 65k per hour, although that was with some mistakes and still kind of learning a bit. Now on average, I was getting around 8,000 experience per game, and that was considering the fact that I was not going for points. I was just using the Infernal Harpoon on the fishing spot and not cooking any of them. So assuming you don't fail the encounter, you can do around 8 or 9 games per hour. Now for every 1,000 points you earn during the game, you're going to get 1 reward permit, and per game I was getting on average around 3,000 points every single time while using the Infernal Harpoon. I think the Infernal Harpoon would actually make the difference between getting 3,000 points and under 3,000 points, and I don't think there's any way to scale it. You either get 2 reward permits or 3 reward permits, so it actually makes a pretty big difference. So after doing it for an hour, I ended up with 26 reward permits. I already tested this out, but essentially the way this works is you grab a net from the Spirit Angler here. He seems very reluctant to give you the net for some reason. And then we're just going to go ahead and use the net on the reward pool, and we're going to hope for something good. So for the most part, we're going to be getting noted fish. We're getting some of the new spirit flakes. That's really exciting, actually. Thank God they're all noted, though. You also get a very minimal amount of experience for actually fishing these up. Some steel nails. That's really rude. Who threw those away? Okay, so there we go. That is the loot from 1 hour of Tempoross. No unique loot. However, we did end up getting 400 spirit flakes, which is a significant amount. The actual loot itself, though, is worth around 71k, so not a lot. But of course, you do have the chance of getting the unique items. Now, as for the new rewards, there are a few of them. The only one I ended up getting is the Spirit Flakes, which gives you a 50% chance of getting an extra fish whenever you're fishing. No additional experience. For a main account, I don't really see where that would be particularly useful. I guess if you are fishing some high-level fish, maybe it could actually make it somewhat viable. And considering I got 400 of these in an hour, that's quite a lot. If you're fishing something like the anglerfish or shark, that will last you quite a while. Now the other rewards you could get are the fish barrel, which allows you to stack an additional 28 raw fish in it. Again, probably just useful for Ironman maybe. The tackle box, which allows you to store some fishing equipment in it. You can get a large harpoon fish, which can be mounted in your skill hall. Or of course here we have the main reward being the Tome of Water, which will increase the damage of your water spells by 20%, increase the accuracy of water spells, curse spells, and binding spells by 20%, and will act as unlimited water runes. Oh yeah, and finally, there is a rare chance of getting a dragon harpoon from Tempoross. So while there is a much higher demand for them right now, there's also probably a much higher supply, because previously the only way to get one was from worms. Anyway guys, that's just going to be a quick day one look at the new content. Overall, my impressions are that it seems pretty fun. The XP per hour seems fairly accurate to what they proposed. Of course, depending on if there are some new strategies that develop, I think the XP rates could be even a bit higher. At my level, 70k is definitely possible, but I think upwards to even 75k would be possible. Now personally, because fishing is such a slow skill to train, I really would imagine that the majority of people are most likely going to just be going for experience, but who knows, I could be off base on that. Now the rewards are definitely nice, but I don't predict the GP per hour here is going to be amazing enough to really sacrifice maybe even 20 to 30% of your experience, and that's kind of what you're going to be doing if you are cooking the fish. I'm having a blast doing it though, and I'm really just going to try to get as many levels today as possible while trying to get better at Tempoross. Anyway guys, that's going to be it for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be seeing you soon with a new video. Now, before I go here, I want to give a massive thank you to all of my members over on YouTube. Thank you so much to one of my newest members, Sage's Reign, for subscribing at the Dragon tier. Thank you so much, man. They're joining Colin Corley, Timothy Chen, Cappy, Guy Fox 1227, Valhalla Lad, Brian Robinson, Brad Sings, Ocelot, and Kush Patel, all at the Dragon tier. Thank you again, you guys are awesome. Also a huge shout out to All Things Gaming, Birdbot, and Base for subscribing at the Runite tier. As always guys, if you're looking for another way to support the channel, becoming a YouTube member is an awesome way to do so. You can become immortalized in all of my future videos, get access to my video release schedule, and of course get a custom role in my Discord server. Thanks again guys, and I'll see you next time.